I guess that's that, and that's the end for the intro music. What's going on, everybody? This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing, getting ready here for our live session. Yes, we do have a live training session directly after this. Let's get going over here. We have a lot of time to get a good session in. I have some stuff prepared that I'm really interested in talking about that I want to share with you, as well as some other stuff we're going to talk about in the training session. Let's get into it. Let's start off with the S&P 500. We'll get into the indexes. I wanted to just talk about where we left off last night. You could see yesterday during the live stream, it was clear that something was just not right. Since then, we're just seeing a little bit of a sell-off. Let's take a look at what's going on over here. You could add this little bit of a trend line in over here. You have this triangle developing. It's there. There's no question about it. It's as clear as can be. However, I'm not going to put it in there. And the reason I'm not putting it in there is I'm focused on this, right? I'm seeing whether or not we come back down and break below this trend line over here. That's going to mean to me that we're going to have what's setting up to be a larger correction. Although if we break back above this trend line over here, that's also saying, nope, didn't pan out like that. And we're looking to play this towards the upside over here. By the way, but hold on to yourself over here. Don't get so crazy, all right? Just about to talk about what I've been saying, right? What could potentially trigger this correction over here? There's a note from JP Morgan today, and they're just saying, listen, they're not ruling out a Trump re-election, and they get into all the specifics, and I'm not going to get into it here, but there's lots of moving pieces. It's just saying what I've been saying, but they also say at the end also what I've been saying. I don't think they watched the live stream. That, listen, markets might react negatively if the U.S. as the world reserve currency nation as seen as sliding down a path toward electoral illegitimacy. This is everything I've been saying. It's something to watch out for. I hope it doesn't happen, but we have to be prepared. Nevertheless, it's all playing out on the charts. That's what we're watching, and that's what we're going to continue to lean into. And we have right now just a little bit of guidance here that we're in no man's land for sure, heavily, right? A breakout above this trend line. Look, that's a time to get in. Some people did mention on the comments in yesterday's afternoon video that they were holding long positions that they exited after yesterday morning's live stream, just sensing my concern. What else is going on the Nasdaq? The Nasdaq is what led to all that concern, right? Because the Nasdaq over here, after breaking out, was a failed break, and then it never got back above that trend line. And that was just an early indication that maybe something's not right. You can see right now, are these lines still valid, right? You know I'm not using them anymore here on the S&P at all. Once we, broke out of here. On the Nasdaq, you can I'm going to make the case that this horizontal line here is what's important, because horizontal lines always take more preference over trending lines. But this trend line is coming right into play as well. That's it for the indexes. Let's talk about the DXY for a moment over here. You could see that it gapped up over here above this resistance yesterday. When I say gapped up, this closes for like an hour of trading, right, after the market closed. And then when it opened up an hour later, right before pre-Asian market, it gapped up over here, right? And then since, you could see that it held. Here's the gap open. Hold on one second. Here's the gap open. From over here, here's the close, here's the gap open. It came back right into that to that resistance line. It gapped above. It has confirmed it as support and is now rising. If you extend this line, let's extend this line for fun because I need to see where it goes. 1 second over here. I mean, that's pretty clean, right? So what does this mean? Are we looking for a bigger move over here? Listen, now that we're back above that trend line, you could sense that I just sense the hesitancy in my voice, in the tone and the cadence of my voice. When I'm confident, it's because I'm confident. And if I'm not confident, then I don't know. And then I revert back right away to I don't know. That's a huge edge to know thyself, right? So I don't know. I'm just going to leave it at that and just keep observing what's happening. Let's talk about Bitcoin. Everyone probably wants to talk about gold, right? Not much is happening yet with gold. We're gonna look here in a second at the Bitcoin gold chart, but over here at gold, like this is the important thing. You can see over here this area of support. We're just barely holding above it, right? We continue to be completely neutral. If we break down from here, are we going to see further pressure on gold? Well, it is potentially possible if this. I don't know. Like I just said, I don't know. If this move sees a rising dollar over here, and again, until we break above 94, by the way, I'm not thinking that there's more to this move. This is a lot of noise right now. And now we just left basically where I had that below this trend line. I'm definitely dollar bearish, but back above it, I'm flat neutral right now. That's where my confidence lies. I'm flat neutral right now. That doesn't give me much of an edge on gold, but there's a lot of room from 92.50 to 94. That's a lot of room. That could put some pressure on gold if we rise up towards that channel. That could take us back towards the 1800 level. It's in play. Nevertheless, until we break below that area of support, it's coming out around 1845. Right over here, that line I just drew. We're in neutral, in no man's land, and that's that. We're waiting. We're waiting to get back above 1914 in order to say technically this has our interest once again. Right now, this doesn't have our interest at all. And by the way, before we look at silver, look over here at the gold to Bitcoin ratio. I'm going to come to a 3-day chart over here to give us just a bigger view. Let's go back to where we were in the cycle last time. We're in 2016 right now, right? We're actually in November 2015, right? This over here, this is when the bull market of Bitcoin took place in this whole area. So this is 2021, right? Right over here right now, do you see that we just took out this look what's happened since. During the whole bear market of Bitcoin, the bear market of Bitcoin has led to what with the gold to Bitcoin ratio? A big, huge consolidation. We all know what's coming next. It's a huge move to the downside. And what's going to happen? Do you think? I happen to think I use a bunch of different brokers. I use multiple brokers. Yeah. If you're inside the U.S., you want to trade futures, check out TradeStation, check out Interactive Brokers. Look, or just do a quick search, but those are the top. Look, it's clear what's going to happen next over here. And gold traders, I think, are pretty good chartists. Not only that, I think gold traders understand money very well. It's easy for gold traders to make the transition into Bitcoin, much easier than most other people. And a lot of these gold traders are right now, see what's going on over here. We're breaking down big time. And I think that a lot of gold traders are right now moving out of gold into Bitcoin. And that also does not help the near-term case for gold, right? Nevertheless, once it's party time again on the precious metals, right now we're neutral, no man's land. If we break here the support, I'm expecting further pressure. Further pressure could lead to further buying. Long term, I'm a big, huge bull on gold. It's not happening right now. Silver, right? Same nonsense, let's call it, right? This is except it still looks bullisher than gold, right? Watch as long as it holds this. It's holding the breakout so far, but it's in no man's land. It's above 26. We get excited, right? All right. Clarity is good. What's going on here? I'm super bullish on gold long term. Gold is ultra heavily manipulated. It should be priced higher right now. Eventually, as the system is reset. By the way, this whole great reset nonsense is utterly frightening. I don't even want to talk about that right now. But eventually, those who hold the gold make the rules. Was it JP Morgan himself? As it said gold is money before the Senate, right? And that's the truth. Gold is money, right? So I'm a big fan of gold. Always have been. And that continues. It's just not the right time right now in the near term. We're swing traders, by the way. I'm over here on the 8-hour time frame. I have the ability of things change to be able to flip quicker than someone who just has a longer term time preference. And at the same time, as we're going to see right now on Bitcoin, I don't get eaten up like day traders. By the way, let's start off with there on the 1 hour. We were watching this last night in the Conquering the Markets Telegram over here, and we had this little bit of a trend line. We were trading right over here, right around here, somewhere over here. And then we were focused on this trend line, looking for the next direction by a break, either to the upside or to the downside. You see we broke out, right? I was sleeping over here. That's another thing about trading short 1 hour time frame or shorter. I mean, you need to be a machine to do it. So it broke out, and then you could see that it was retesting and then holding, broke down. But look at this. Here's the retest and never got a resumption down. You never got the resumption down, right? On the retest, it came back in above the trend line. So that is awesome because everyone here should understand what just took place there, how the retest, breakdown, retest, resumption protects them. Because guess what? Breakouts and breakdowns are low probability trades. Nevertheless, here we are on the 8-hour. By the way, can I get a like or two? What's going on, James? Can I get a like or two in here as we're going? The session so far is flowing. Let's keep it going. Oh, how do you like that? All right, let me see. My charts don't look pretty, though. That's, Antonio, the best lead-in I could have ever got. This goes down in history for the best lead that we've ever got in right now. This is exactly what I want to talk about right now. What I want to talk about on Bitcoin, this is like the most important piece of this session for myself, which is why I want to share it with you, right? Orange Cowboy, what's going on? Great to see you. Boom, 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 boom. Stick to the charts, my brother. That probably is, I don't know. You lost me on that one. All right, let's go. So what I want to say right now, because right now, the question on my mind, the question on everyone's mind is, do you take a little bit of profit over here? Right now, I continue to have very small amount of orders in at $18,932. I think I'm way too cute with the price, way too perfect, but that's fine. I still keep that in because if I don't ever get, by the way, if I don't ever get that the exit and then we pull back 30%, that's great. That's perfect for me, right? So the question is right now in a lot of other people's mind is, do we not have 30% pullbacks this time because of institutional money? That's what I want to talk about right now with you. If you look, by the way, at the trajectory, this is like a small parabolic move. When I say small parabolic move, because it's nothing like the end of the bull market will be as we get into late 2021, which is going to be parabolic. But this is a parabolic move over here. Normally, they're not sustainable, right? So, by the way, if you look, so the question we're answering right now is twofold. Will this bull market be different because of institutionals' money? Not just institutions, public companies, central banks, Central Bank of Iran, right? Will we still have 30% pullbacks, or will they be less? And should you be looking to take profit right now? By the way, on that second piece, I simply revert you back to the 3 ways to trade Bitcoin during the bull market phase. That's the guide right there. If you look at what's happening right now, and by the way, this is from Plan B. This is the first cycle. Have you ever asked yourself what happened here in the first cycle? Why this one shot up so quickly? I think it had to do with ASIC miners being introduced over here, which accelerated the pace of this cycle over here until it wound up and then corrected again. Now, if you look over here, Plan B is saying, I see no lengthening cycles, nor cycles in the data. You all remember that I entertained the thought of lengthening cycles for a moment and then said it makes no sense because of the 4-year cycle. You have people out there who have theories, but they're theories, right? I see no lengthening cycles nor lower cycles in the data. I see stock to flow price patterns similar to the last 2 halvings. This is the first. This is the second. We're in between the 2. This gives no indication of, by the way, of any type of lengthening cycle. It does give an indication, perhaps, like I've said, that this one is going to be shorter than the last. We'll see, right? But it's way too early. We're only 7 months in to since the last halving. It's just way too early to make any type of assessment. VJ, if you're all familiar with, if you're not, follow him on Twitter. VJ is the author of The Bullish Case for Bitcoin. Great. Not only that, he follows one person a month. Look, one following one. And it's someone who he believes is influential in the space. And listen, it's just a simply good follow. He's saying at this stage in the 2016 Bitcoin bull market, so first of all, see, he even understands that this isn't 2017. This is 2020. 4 years ago is 2016. Bull market cycle, the price dropped about 29%, right? At this particular time. For those who are not familiar, let me show you exactly what he's talking about. This is very important today, what we're sharing. I want everyone to be on the same page. He's saying right here, right now, right, as we're getting close to that new all-time high, right over here, where we were back in 2016 was right over here, right? You've been seeing me say that for days. This is where we are. And then we came into a 29, 30% pullback. That's what happened next, okay? So is it possible we have a correction like this before taking out the all-time high? And he's saying, yeah, look, it's possible. That would take us somewhere around 13,000, right? We had 12,800 in there right now. Is it possible we have a correction? So notice, by the way, that a lot of people are on the same page here. That like all of us, by the way, everyone who yesterday on Twitter was suggesting to Real Vision and Raoul Powell that we get on there. Thank you for that. I appreciate the support. I am the most grateful that everyone here has probably the best, let's say, situational awareness of what's going on. And that's what's important to me. All right. So, Igor, do a Black Friday discount on the yearly subscription. Igor, I have to be honest that the course is absolutely priced extraordinarily cheap. I mean, listen, the free content shared here on this channel is by far better than any paid course, and courses go for thousands and over $10,000. No question about it. The free content here is way, 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 way better. Look, if you want to take the course, it's priced more than appropriately. It's a bargain, right? So anyway, here we go. So sorry. Blah, 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 blah. The cycle is clearly being driven by institutions, right? It's clearly who generally have a much stronger hands than retail buyers. So by the way, is it true that this cycle is being driven by institutions? Well, we know for sure that we have like family offices like Stanley Druckenmiller, like funds like Paul Tudor Jones. And if those two names, which are legends in the space, are involved, every other fund manager out there is considering it. Then you have things like Square Public Company, you have MicroStrategy and others, right? It's clear as day what's happening. And right now there are other companies out there accumulating. Look at this over here. This is someone saying something is not right because they're talking about here. By the way, this is 2017. This is the search term Bitcoin on Google, and you could see the search activity is so high. Here we are today, right? So they're saying retail is not involved. Well, there's a big difference between 2017 and 2020. First of all, Bitcoin is not going parabolic. And a lot of people, as it goes parabolic in 2021, we're going to see these search terms rise for retail. By the way, is retail involved? If I look around with my friends, heavily involved, way more than the last cycle. If I look at other high net worth individuals in my circle, they are heavily involved. Also, PS in gold, where they weren't years ago, right? So it's not only institutions, retail is heavily involved right now. If you look what else he's showing over here, this is just the last 30 days. You're seeing no interest in Bitcoin. By the way, the normal people right now from the media are just being bombarded with COVID and elections. So normal people right now are distracted, right? So look, how to buy Bitcoin. Look, I'm sure as we hit 2021, this is going to rise. Is it low? Or more people more educated than they were 4 years ago? I go with that one. All right. Nevertheless, let's keep going over here. So he's saying the larger, for instance, MicroStrategy, blah, blah, blah. The larger institutions may help dampen volatility in this cycle. This is something we need to consider, right? By the way, if in the 3 ways to trade Bitcoin, right? If you're the most tricky one is the third way, where you're selling to take profit and buy back lower, because you could get left behind. If right now, for example, price were to go ahead and jump right up to $30,000 without getting the pullback, and some people sold some, or if I sell some over here at 18.9. Look at that, right on the number right there, 18,932. If I sell some there and then price goes up to 30,000 before a pullback, and that pullback is only 20%, I might lose out on a big chunk here. So it's the most risky. The second is the best because you're only adding at 30% pullbacks. If they never happen, you held the whole time. So let me keep going over here. Boom, 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 boom. Look, institutions are not looking at Bitcoin to seek returns of 10 or 20%. A lot of Bitcoiners make, small gains and think they're heroes. They're looking for an asymmetric bet. When they take positions, they're holding for 10 or 20% upside. They're also patient. Let me jump down over here. I want to share this with you. So if it, not this one, but let me start here. If it's anything like the last time, we could see a very brief pullback up to 30% before reaching all-time high, the 14K area. But that's probably just wishful thinking. The biggest risk right now is not being long. That's true. And I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know what's going to happen. That's why I'm going over this with you right now. So look, that's true. The biggest risk throughout the bull market phase is not being long. Take that into consideration. This I do want to share with you right over here. This is comparing Amazon, early Amazon, to Bitcoin and the similarities. Take a look at this, because I've been saying to you, even though we have the Max Kaiser theory, which is as Bitcoin makes a new all-time high, it runs towards 30,000. without pulling back. And I say, well, my research shows different, that as price comes towards the all-time high, that's usually when we see a 30, or in Bitcoin's case, a 30% pullback. But in other instruments, a pullback, as we recently saw this year in gold. And not only saw, I navigated everyone through this right over here. And we saw a significant pullback over here as that happened. Now, what else? Back to this over here, right? Check this out over here. This is Amazon, 1 month chart going back 1998 to 2010. Just look at this pattern that's developing over here, okay? That's what I want to show you. And then you could see that similar pattern that's developed. This is on the weekly. By the way, what happens in crypto, what happens in Bitcoin is exponentially faster than what happens with stocks, right? Everyone knows that. This is a 1 week chart. You could see that same similar pattern, but look at this. Here's what happened as Amazon came in there and came close to the all-time high. It had a substantial pullback before running, right? Look at Bitcoin right now. It's in the same situation. It's, that's why I'm taking a small piece off. It's a small piece. It's 2/9 of my tradable position. My tradable position is is much less than my held offline position. That's for sure. But nevertheless, there we are. Whew. Where are we? 400 likes, 1,350 people in here. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being in over here. That stuff is so much fun for me. I love going through it. A pleasure to share it with all of you. If you're not bullish, you're wrong. Yeah. Look, what the Bitcoin videos outline that all very, very, very well. That's what we're going to be speaking about in the beginning of the live training session. We have Alan and Brandon have been sharing just extraordinarily valuable information here on the alts into the Telegram group. We're going to be going over right now at where we were last cycle. I strongly believe Altseason is about to be upon us. Now, I'm not trying to put a time frame on that, but soon enough, it is developing, and we're going to look at where Ethereum is next move might come in against Bitcoin right now. We're going to do that in today's live training session together. Let's get into the rest of the markets over here. Let's see what's going on and get ready. Let's do a blow through, right? Let's go through all of FX over here. Let me just take a sip of matcha before I do that. They'll be making money through fees. They'll be making money through fees, Sean. Right? Can we get some more likes in here, please? Nah, thanks. Anyone, only like the content if you enjoy being here. If you learn something, that's all. Or if you appreciate my time. Kenneth, the live training sessions, it's for Conquering the Markets course members. We get an email. You get an email for the link as the session starts, as well as the link is posted in the Telegram group. All right, let's go. Let's see what's going on right now in the markets. By the way, we're looking at 1 minute to the New York opening over here to equities open. Markets are kind of just unchanged since we got on this live stream over here. All across the board, nothing has really moved. I'm glad our time was actually very well spent. Let's start over here with the Australian dollar, Canadian dollar. Let me come down to the 8-hour time frame. You could see this clear as day breaking down. What does that mean? Does that set up a possible short over here on a retest? Interesting, right? I like it. All right. Keep that green light. Look, we've broken down outside of this little bit of a channel. We're breaking down. If we come back up and we retest either this resistance or this little bit of channel and resume down, that's a place to look for a short, no question about it. Australian dollar, Swiss franc, problems up here with that resistance. Look at this. We're in no man's land for sure over here. Listen, just be aware. of what's going on. There were some developments in Wisconsin. You had two of the people that was supposed to affirm the election that would not affirm the results, and then their families were threatened. They were doxxed. They then said, okay, they were affirming the results, and then they've came back overnight and said, you know what, they rescind that, and they're not. There's a lot of moving pieces. I could definitely see, not just with what's going on with the increases of infection rates, the increase of lockdowns. There's a lot of risk out there that's not really being priced into the market. The only wild card we have, the only wild card. Don't forget, the Fed is meeting soon, right? It's the second week, I believe, of December. And then we're looking at possibly them extending the duration of QE. And this is where we are. The U.S. is such a mess. That's true. The U.S. is such a mess. So anyway, here we are right now. Let's just keep following the charts, because if you start thinking about it and putting the pieces together, it's way too complicated. I want to give a big shout out to all of you who took this trade over here on the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. A few of you were posting it, and just well done. You were all over it. We looked at that last night before I went to bed. Fantastic job, right? I think Kips, correct me if I'm wrong, I think you were talking about looking for the yen to firm up as well. Did gold fall below 1845? No, it hasn't. That's terrible. I mean, listen, the truth is, not one of us could even fathom what that would mean or look like. Like, there's not one of us who could fathom. War is ugly. War is ugly. Let's pray for peace. Let's really, really pray for peace. Australian dollar, US dollar, we'll get into that right next. Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. Ooh. So, just like what I want everyone to notice, what's going on? What I want everyone to notice is this over here, because this is as clear as day, right? And then what do we do on downtrends? You're looking for pullbacks into resistance, right? That's all. That was not on my radar, so I'm not going to get into it, because if it wasn't on my radar, there's not much I could share about it with you, right? I don't know why I wasn't looking at that. Do you all know why we weren't looking at that? I don't know. But that's a downtrend. That's in downtrends, you sell resistance. I stopped saying it for so long, but if anyone's new here, I don't want to leave you out. So for real, and just let me, Jordan, what do you think if the government decides to regulate Bitcoin like they once did with gold? Bitcoin is such a tiny market. What is it, a $250 billion market? It's tiny. What's Forex? A $4 or $5 trillion market. They're not worried about it right now. Is it possible it happens one day? Sure. Right? There you go, CG. Thank you for the reminder. We all need to be reminded to pray for peace, right? So anyone, by the way, who's a little, look, I don't know, I'm not watching the comments, but if you're talking politics in the comments, you're missing what's going on over here. It's not healthy for anyone. So here we go. And by the way, everyone keep in mind that they are manipulating all of us. I don't care what side of the fence you're on, or if you're standing in the middle on top of it, they are manipulating all of us with military type degree, let's say social engineering. So don't think you're immune to that. By the way, I bought massive amounts of toilet paper in February. Why did I do that? Right? So I don't think I'm immune. So anyway, here we go. So that's something just to keep in mind. I missed it. I wasn't even on my radar. It should have been. And because of that, I'm just kind of spending an extra moment with it. Most traders make the mistake that they look to buy bottoms and they look to sell tops. They're contrarians. Don't be a contrarian, right? There's one particular person on Twitter that I follow who's a member of this group. He's extensive experience in the markets. He's got great charting ability. And I noticed that he's always contrarian. And if he just made that one switch in his head, his success would be tenfold. We, in downtrends, look to sell resistance. In uptrends, we look to buy support. Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. Yeah. Well, usually it's the psychopaths or the ones doing the manipulation, so I don't really believe about that. By the way, the architect of the Great Reset, what he's looking for is not only, of course, for travel, you need vaccinations, but what they would like to do in the future is be able, before you travel across borders, is be able to read your mind to assess your risk. That's ridiculous, right? So anyway, Australian dollar, you can't ever stop Bitcoin. A government can make Bitcoin illegal. They can make it illegal to own Bitcoin with a penalty, right, of even jail, but they can't stop it. All right, Kips into the resistance. Let's see what's going on over here. Now, look, if you look at a long-term trade here, we're in a downtrend, okay, for sure, right? So if you're looking at that and then you see this heavy bit of resistance we're up to and you're looking to sell that, I say it so many times, I can make the case for you doing it. It's not something I do, right? That's why, and just let me tell you, right, over here, this was a hard time for me to trade. Now, because the moves were so volatile, it worked out. And I was focused on the Australian dollar, Japanese yen, and other pairs, not the Australian dollar, US dollar. But if you're looking over here, like that's a downtrend to me, right? That's a downtrend. I was selling resistance. A lot of you flipped to buying off support about a month before I did, right? So this could be a similar situation, right, over here. Nevertheless, let's extend this line over here, right? Let me extend that line right over there. You can see that could be a little bit of support over there. Watch out for that. In my opinion, we're in no man's land for sure, right? And as Jordan trades, I like this above here, right? When would I be looking to sell this? I don't have the answer to that right now. So, oh, by the way, QBTC, that just triggered something in my mind for people who are like, this is the first time I'm ever looking at a GBTC chart. I own GBTC, but the reason I don't look at the chart is I just follow what's going on with Bitcoin. A lot of people wonder, I believe, what happened over here and why, as Bitcoin's trading back at all-time highs, QBTC is not. This is all premium. And it was a lot different back in 2017 to what it is today because of things like GBTC. Now, that's on the QBTC, which is on the Canadian Stock Exchange. But there are other avenues, right? The premium has gone way down on GBTC. I have no idea what it will look like at the top in 2021 towards the top. I don't follow GBTC whatsoever. You all know I don't talk about something unless I believe I have something to add to the conversation. How the premium is calculated on Grayscale, Bitcoin is one of them. It's kind of like option pricings for me. I have no idea. I'm not focused in on GBTC. I'm focused in on Bitcoin. And as Bitcoin comes to the top, regardless of what's being priced into GBTC, that's where I'm going to exit my GBTC. All right. So let me get a little bit of a mark. This was around 38 minutes into the session. Boom, 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 boom. Australian dollar, US dollar. Let me extend this trend line out. Up. All right. Canadian dollar, Japanese yen. Let me stand back a little. That to me, this is what I see when I first look at this chart. All right. This is what I see. And that to me is just, it's kind of ugly. I don't really like it. It doesn't have my attention, right? I'm trying to see if you're into a little bit of support in this whole area right over here right now. Either which way, let's keep moving. So this is interesting, right? As we get below this last bit of support over here, you can see that we're testing this another little bit of local support over here. But is this setting up a possible shorting opportunity, right? I don't know. I'd rather wait for the trend to be taken off a little bit more. Right? I'm looking, by the way, as you see me, Thomas, in the beginning of the live stream, we looked at silver. Silver is as clear as day right now. There's absolutely no trade at all on silver right now. There's no trade whatsoever. By the way, you could see what I'm looking for as I go through the all these instruments is I'm looking for clarity. Jim Rogers, the best thing he ever said, I didn't understand it for years. He's like, what I do is I wait until I see money sitting on the other side of the room and I go over there and pick it up. That's what I'm doing. I'm waiting for something to be obviously clear to me. And if it's not clear, I want to avoid it, right? And that's been the market for the last couple of weeks, right? So they are, that's true. I agree with that wholeheartedly. But if we're moving into risk off, you're going to see the Japanese yen gain value against the Swiss franc, in my opinion. So euro Canadian dollar, again, this is directionless. Directionless seems to be the theme over here. But this is also over here right now. Euro, British pound. Is this possibly getting ready for a break above that trend line? I don't know. Again, there's no edge yet. Euro, by the way, a bunch of you were riding down this trade over here, right? You've now broken down outside that little bit of whatever channel that we were falling into the support, right? This is, anyone who's in this trade, this is where you're definitely taking a small piece of profit off, probably about 20%, 25% of the trade, but you are looking to push this further, right? And if you break down below this support over here, and then also, by the way, moving your stop loss now, but if you break down further over here, this can wind up being a very, very big trade. Euro, New Zealand dollar. This looks very excellent. I'm still holding this one. And this looks excellent because not only after resuming down, right? Blah, blah, blah. Downtrend, selling resistance. You could see that after this, we've now are potentially holding this bit of resistance. A resumption off of over here. I will then obviously be moving my stop loss. That trade continues to look good. I thought it was $1,000. Was he only going for $1,300? Thomas, we'll get into the pound US dollar in just a moment, that's for sure. Let's check out the euro US dollar. And just like the DXY is directionless, this is the same thing that's going on over here. Let me even put in a blue box over here so that like I don't need to explain it to everyone as it's a. So this is definitely the direction. As we're getting more space between this trend line over here, this is that 12-year trend line going back all the way to 2008, right? If we get below that trend line, that offers up the possibility of a really big dollar move, right? But breaking below this support now, we're getting a lot more space between here and there. That makes it obviously a playable move, right? But in here, in this blue box, I'm standing aside. I can't see how anyone has an edge on which way we go without just purely speculating and guessing. I'm not in here to guess. I'm in here to use probabilities. That, I mean, so Jad, this is really, you know, I think that's a great sign of intelligence to not care if you're proven wrong, but just to be like, yeah, I was wrong. I missed something. Like the whole idea is to understand what the truth is, not to be proven correct. Pound Australian dollar also, you know, that you guys are all wondering why I'm so neutral and why I'm so neutral. Don't forget, I mean, man, back at 9,000, I was over 50% of my net worth into Bitcoin. Obviously, that is doubled, right? So it's not like I'm not doing nothing, but there's nothing going on over here. So what am I going to do? Nothing. Pound Canadian dollar. This failed over here, huh? That has not taken out any stops, but definitely failed on that first attempt out. We were worried about it because of this and this. Nevertheless, you're risking 1%. You're risking 0.5%. It makes sense when you get those type of moves. Nevertheless, we're back towards that level of support, right? Anyone who didn't take the trade, if this support holds, resuming off this back above that trend line, it's still a good and clean entry. Be aware. And nevertheless, anyone who took this trade, obviously, you should still be holding that trade, as we talked about the stop loss being below the support. Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad I caught that comment. I haven't been able to focus on comments at all as we're going through all these charts over here, but I caught that one. And I appreciate you. You know what? thanks for helping build me up as well. That's the whole point of working together, right? Is to build each other up. Pound Japanese yen, is this now offering a couple of different mixed signals? When I say mixed signals, like a couple, there's a lot going on this chart, and we've been avoiding it for a while. Let's start looking at it again right now, right? So what I see is, first, I see these lower highs, right? The next thing I'm seeing is this, we're trading below this bit of support right now, right? And it's actually being breakdown, retest, looking to resume down right now. You could even get a trigger this session. The other thing that I'm noticing over here is this is a conflicting possible signal, is that also right over here, descending wedge, right? So there's a lot going on this chart, no question about it. If that's a descending wedge, that could lead to a bullish breakout, unquestionably. That would be back above this broken support, which is now trading as resistance. The trigger for that, if it happened over the next 24 hours. So there's a lot going on in this chart. It's actually very much in play. What about, either to the short? Do you take this short? Right, let's focus in on this. Do you take this short over here coming right into that resistance? Right? I wouldn't do that personally. I wouldn't do that. If I was already in this trade, right, would I continue holding it? Yeah. But I wouldn't take a short right over here, coming right into that trend line support. And then if you look to the left, there's also a little bit of local support coming from this area over here. So I wouldn't take that to the downside. However, if she was able to break out of that, look, the slope is not so steep. I would prefer the slope was a little steeper, right, on that wedge. It's not so steep, but nevertheless, getting back above that resistance, I don't know. I would be looking to take this to the long side. Let me just get a time check. And then, Thomas, we're going to get first to your pound US dollar, and then I'll go back and jump to the equities in 1 second. This is the pound New Zealand dollar. It is definitely ping-ponging in no man's land. Pound US dollar. This is actually something that's pretty exciting. This is actually offering an opportunity here as we pull back into the support to possibly look for a resumption off of here. The pound, don't forget, has been leading versus the dollar. Let me just talk about the dollar 1 second over here. You can see the dollar has broken back above this trend line. So that's like, all right, we went from like bearish dollar tilt back to neutral, and we'll stay neutral till it's trading back above 94. There's a lot of room for the dollar to strengthen over here. Nevertheless, the dollar right over here, it's not strong. It's not strong at all. So pound US dollar, you're protected over here, right? Because you're waiting for, as you come back into this area of support, you're waiting for a resumption up. That would be a signal, just a little edge, layering edge upon edge. What pair are you trading? What time of day are you trading it? Are you seeing price resume back towards the direction you're trading? Are you trading towards the greater trend? So this is a possibility here to get long on the pound US dollar. It's something definitely that I'll be considering. Let's jump back over. Well, the S&P I see is just unchanged on the day. By the way, it is right over here. Ooh, I don't like that. It is focused right over there on that little bit of a triangle. I'm not focused in on that triangle simply because, as I said earlier, the reason I'm not looking to go long over here. So I'm not even going to have that lower line in over there. I'm looking to go long if we break above this upper trend line over there. But the indexes are unchanged. Not much has moved in the 1 hour that we've been on this session together. Did you all notice that Litecoin is again leading the way this morning, right? And just in yesterday's session, we were saying, watch these little formations that happened. We get these little bit of consolidation, downward sloping consolidations, and then the legs up. So you got some resistance right above you coming into there at 82. That's 83. Let's keep going over here. Let me look at the New Zealand dollar pairs. So you could send me a direct message through the website form on conquertrades.com. There's a form to send over there. Andy, pound New Zealand dollar. Trend lines across those two highs could break out. Let me look at it. I have no idea. Let's take a look. Pound New Zealand dollar. So down trend lines across those two highs. Are you looking at something like this, Andy? You know, I mean, I think I know what I'm focused on over here is I see this. Let me show you. I see this area of noise. And then again, I see this area of noise. And now we're back into this area of noise again, which remember we had the blue box on Bitcoin back when it was at 10,500. Like, there's really no way to know. If this breaks down, I think I want to be involved. If this breaks down, I want to try to take the breakdown. However, if this breaks up above that red line, that horizontal resistance, which by the way is going to coincide with a break of your trend line, at the same time, I'm just focused on that horizontal resistance over there. And New Zealand, it's yellow because it's interesting on a break of either side. Except right now, I just don't see anything else except that we're in this noise. That's all. Oh, by the way, we didn't check WTI. Let's do that today. Let's see what's going on over there. So, I had the most interesting thread in the world on Twitter that I would love to share with all of you. I will try to find that later. It had to do with people that were, they live in the energy sector. It was really, really interesting. It was talking about how shale, specifically in the U.S., is drying up. There are other places across the world where there is plenty of shale access, but they're talking about higher oil prices. I want to find it and share it with you. I don't know about any of that. I just know what's going on with the charts, right? I'm noticing that we do have this channel, downward sloping channel, the breakout, the retest. We haven't resumed up, right? But if we do break above this resistance over here, I think that we're looking at higher prices over there. For me to get bearish again on oil, and you all know for a long time, I was just neutral and we haven't gone anywhere in months. So, by the way, anyone who was all involved in oil, and I was like, no. Like, you could play the range. That was all good, but we're neutral right now. The whole market is neutral. Do you see it? Does everyone see how the whole market is totally in a holding pattern? Right? Outside of what? Outside of Bitcoin and crypto. What's going on? Let me come back over here. I should probably taking a sip of matcha, but I'm going to check out the New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar. And that same thing is happening over here. We're still within this pattern. This could be setting up for a big move. I would think to the downside. We'll keep watching it. New Zealand dollar, Swiss franc, similar pattern setting up. Similar pattern. Right? I'm going to watch that trend line. So New Zealand dollar, by the way, often after a pair, this is on all assets. After a pair makes a huge move, normally what happens is that consolidation. So like when we saw those big breakouts on the New Zealand dollar, don't then get fall in love with the New Zealand dollar and say that you want to stick there. There's like a dance that goes on. This, however, looks possibly a little bit bullish. So I see the pound Japanese yen possibly setting up for a bullish move. And I see the New Zealand dollar Japanese yen possibly setting up for a bullish move. I do want to check out what's going on with the other Japanese yen pairs, right? So this looks, I would say, more bearish, conflicting, but you are into that support. Canadian dollar Japanese yen. We have the Australian dollar Japanese yen. And that's also a similar pattern that I'm seeing develop on the pound US dollar and New Zealand dollar Japanese yen. So there we go. Do I see liquidity risk in BlockFi? Well, What, I don't know why they would be. BlockFi is not using margin, but BlockFi is holding assets on a 1-to-1 ratio. I would not see any issues whatsoever. Now you have people like Matt Odell, right? Matt Odell would say never, ever, 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 ever use a service like BlockFi. If it's not your keys, it's not your Bitcoin. You can't argue if it's not your keys, it's not your Bitcoin. There is third-party risk. There's third-party risk. Now, you have to assess what that risk is, right? So do I keep money in the bank? Yeah. Do I think that US banking system is a risk? Uh-huh. Do I think that the FDIC will be there to bail out the banks if there's a problem? No way. Right? So do I have money in BlockFi? Uh-huh. Do I think it's a risk? Yeah. Do I think that it's a migrated risk? Yeah. I feel comfortable with it. I sleep well at night. I don't have any concerns. You know, the FDIC insures. The FDIC does not have the money to insure the banks. That's just the whole confidence game. When you go to the bank and you see the little sign that says, yes, FDIC insured, you're like, oh yeah, my money's insured. The FDIC cannot insure a fractional reserve banking system. It's utterly impossible. So I guess, it's so funny. They don't teach anything about money in schools. They don't teach anything about credit in schools. And they don't teach critical thinking in schools. I don't think my friends think I'm normal at all. At all. I think my friends who love me dearly think that I'm the furthest thing from normal. That's true. That's definitely true. All right. So that's one thing, John. For a long time, I have always kept, a certain degree of cash, right? Well, I'm thinking of depositing the cash I have into a bank. Why? Well, I see the trend. I know that we're going towards digital currency. I think in the US, it will still be a few or more years before that happens. I don't think that we hit a crisis until that happens. And I do think that when that happens, cash will be outlawed. And I think that if you're trying to get cash into the system at that point, it'll be a lot more difficult than it will be right now. Peter Schiff, Peter Schiff, date BTC, don't be married to it. I hope Peter Schiff takes a position just for his own credibility. I happen to like Peter. I happen to like listening to Peter speak about a lot of things. On the long-term view, he's really dead on. I would really love for Peter to be like, pull a Ray Dalio and be like, yeah, I was wrong, and take a position. I would have a lot more respect for Peter if he did that. All right. Can we take a closer look at Litecoin? I mean, look, for there's nothing else to say. You're not looking to buy right now. Why would I not buy? Well, we don't chase momentum. The thing's up 9%, right? It's nice to see Litecoin pumping because in the past cycles, Litecoin has led the way. So when I see Litecoin pumping, that's a good sign, right? If you look at the 3-day though, let's look at the 3-day. We're coming up into some heavy resistance. It's big resistance, right? So the smart thing to do is wait for that's broken, right? Either wait to see if this is rejected, look to buy off supports, or to see if that's broken above. And if it's broken above, then that trade becomes a high probability trade. Buying this right now would be just simply gambling and reckless. Jesse, big shout out. Jesse's got, by the way, below in the description below, Jesse's got us covered with a whole bunch of Conquering the Market merchandise, including awesome coffee mugs. Next time I'm back in the States, definitely be picking some up. Jason, thanks for being here. Thanks for spending the time over here. Yeah, Bitcoin's back at 18,000. Nice to see it going. I feel utterly conflicted about my sell orders over here. I tried talking myself out of them this morning when I woke up before I got, to my desk. And then, that's why I talked about this with all of you VJ's thought over here, right? And whether or not, but then, I'm sticking with them. But I don't know for sure. No, I don't have Instagram. Instagram is owned by Facebook. Facebook's a security risk. Facebook's a security risk. I know, Rob, it's just that, look, the downside is here. Here's my ultimate downside. Let's say, and it's not, this is just broad strokes. So what I was looking at is what happens in December, by the way. I was looking at what happens in December with Bitcoin. If you go back to 2016, it's a good month for Bitcoin. 2015, good month for Bitcoin. It's probably, I don't know. Anyway, but I think what really solidified it for me when I look at my thesis, when I look at what happened to Amazon in that similar situation where we are right now, is what I've said to you, I believe happens. I'm sticking to my guns. And then there's also this over here, right? If we are a little bit faster than the last cycle, then it makes sense because we're coming towards a place where we have a pullback in Bitcoin, right? So it happened here into the between the 8th and 9th month here, right? Also here, that was 7th, 8th, and 9th month, or 7th and 8th month, I should say. If we're between the two, then that happens a little bit earlier. Anyone who tells you that they know has no idea. All you could do is make educated, informed decisions. That's all we're doing over here. Nothing else. If we go to 30,000, right? And then we have a 30% pullback, that takes us back to 21,000. Not bad. I didn't miss out on much on this small bit of exit. However, if we only have a 20% pullback, I don't know the math. What does that take us to? About 23,000? That's significant. There's always risk. The timing is very difficult. Yeah. So 2 things. Watch the video on the Bitcoin playlist. The highest video up there is called 3 Ways to Trade the Bitcoin Bull Market. As we get to the point where I'm looking to take profits, that's what I'll be talking about every day with you. You will know when I'm exiting Bitcoin and why. What percent would you sell at 19? For me, it's 2/9 of my tradable Bitcoin position. Is very small of my overall position. It's 2/9, right? Which first of all is pretty small. But again, that's just of my tradable. So we looked at gold. That's awesome. What's going? I think we're going to call it a session over here. I think we're going to call it a session right now. It's only 1 hour. I want to prepare a little bit for our training session, which is going to, in about 27 minutes, I will be sending out the link by email or to the Telegram group. Is Pax Gold legit? For me, it is. Look, there's nothing legit about paper gold. And in a sense, although Pax Gold is supposedly backed by physical gold, and I say supposedly because there's trust involved. The same thing with the paper gold market. I know, look, I'm a physical gold guy, but at the same time, for different time horizons, I have no problems in the paper markets. Pax Gold is a similar situation for me. See, Kips, I'm glad you said that because I'm really stalking this pound Japanese yen trade, conflicted on it because I don't know. I have a sense of risk off could be creeping into the market. And when I have, by the way, when I have I see something happening on the charts and then my brain gets in the way and I try to reason, I just go back and I fall to the default. Trade what is happening on the charts. Always trade what is happening on the charts. You'll be much better off for it. Thanks, Tom. I thought it was a great session as well. I appreciate that. I don't have any thoughts on WBTC. I don't have any thoughts on WBTC that I could help you out with whatsoever. All right, everyone. Let's see if the music works this time. It wasn't working early in the morning. I need to restart my computer. I can't do that to after the live training session. Oh, no, this has to be fixed. Let me restart this. Paul, I greatly appreciate that. I mean, what a pleasure that would be. Thanks for thinking of me. I would love to be able to add to the conversation in that way. But at the same time, I genuinely would really love that. But at the same time, I'm grateful for what we have over here. It is someone once said on Twitter that what we got going on over here is the most important invisible voice on Bitcoin. I believe it to be true, but we get to share it together. And the amount of people that listen, I shared with you yesterday, my greatest goal is to make a difference, right? In as many people's lives as possible. I believe we're doing that. There we go. Tomorrow I will use your music 100%, Kips. 100%. I'm pulling up the channel right now so that I have that reminder. We're looking at Autumn, Kips. There's Kip's guitar, by the way. Autumn, perfect. Absolutely, Jorge. My pleasure. Thanks for being here. Miguel, thanks for being here. Everybody. Absolutely, James. Love the icon. Brandon. What do I think about Bitcoin? I don't know. It could go to zero. I think Bitcoin could go to zero. Thank you. I did too. I really, really, really am so passionate about that stuff. That's why I love the markets. Thanks for sharing that with me. Nicholas, you too. Absolutely. Joseph, it's true. Thank you, Gemma. Thank you for the light you shine in here every day. If you're looking for links, Twitter, etc., check in the description below. Right back at you. Yeah, right? I remember when I first got into the markets, I used to have my own lease financing business, and I would spend more time a week in the markets. The market was fascinating. Love it. All right, everybody, have a beautiful day, and I'll talk to you later.